Hi folks, Lyndsey and Lynsey here from 50/50. I know that lots of people last year done a bit of a summary of what they've been up to kind of round the year off. But what Lynsey and I thought might be a good idea is to just pause, take some time over Christmas to reflect, and then we've just regrouped to have a bit of a chat amongst ourselves about what we achieved last year, who we worked with, but also to get really excited about some of the plans that we've got coming up this year. Lynn, do you maybe want to just start with what last year looked like?
Yes, obviously coming out of 2020 was interesting. We didn't know what that was going to look like, but luckily for us, diversity and inclusion proved something that everybody was interested in, and it crept up their agenda quite a lot. So that was brilliant. So we started off the year by working with some brilliant teams with Boeing Accelerator, and continued doing loads of great work with lots of different organisations. So we had everything from recruitment agencies in Blair West. We did loads of great work with their team. We've done some work with some of the larger companies which we weren't expecting. So the likes of Draeger, Sage and EY. So we've done quite a lot of work with some of their teams. And then also we had a great experience with the Annick Garden as well. So that was our first in-person series of workshops that we did with them, which obviously was a beautiful location for us to do that in as well, in a fab team. So we've been really lucky with all of the people that we got to work with last year, and EMG Solicitors was another one as well. Actually, we've had people from lots of different sectors actually, and different
Yeah,
sizes of companies.
that's been really lovely because with Lynsey and I, and those of you who know us pretty well, will know that our bread and butter and our background has always been in the tech or the STEM sectors. Whereas over the last couple of years, we've really diversified out and got to interact with companies from all different backgrounds and all different sizes. So really tiny micro businesses right the way up to those larger corporate lens that you were chatting about.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. And obviously we've worked with more companies than that last year. Those were to name a few, but it's really great as well because a lot of the work that we started last year is then being taken over into 2022 as well. And a lot of companies have seen huge impact already, but are also continuing that agenda. So we will be continuing our work with the likes of Aerospace Technology Institute, which they've got a phenomenal team there. Sunderland Software City as well. They've been absolutely brilliant to work with. And the likes of...
If we just share maybe some of the success stories or just some practical steps that those couple of companies have implemented and the impact that they've seen off the back of it.
Yeah, because they actually saw quite a big impact really soon after we ran those programs, didn't they?
Yeah, totally. So if we just take a step and think about the likes of Sunderland Software City, so local to us in the region of the Northeast, they approached us last year. They wanted to make sure that they had more diversity and can harness the diversity within their own teams. And I know that they wanted to be more accessible as an organization, but also just make sure that all colleagues in the business had that understanding as well of what diversity and inclusion is, clear up any ambiguities that there might be, and just really form that cohesive mindset, as well as paying particular attention to their recruitment process and what they could do to tweak and tailor it to make sure that they could diversify their talent pool. In terms of some of the practical steps that those folks have now implemented off the back of the training, they've noticed a real shift in the whole dynamic of the team. I think a load of their colleagues are asking more questions, they're having more open conversations, they're sharing their opinions a lot more. And they've also done a full overhaul of their recruitment strategy and their process. I think within 6 months of training being delivered, and then them working really hard, clearly behind the scenes to implement lots of things like authentic ED&I statements and de-bias in recruitment steps. The one thing that really sticks out for me is when Jill McKinney, and we were catching up with her afterwards, had said that they reworded their job descriptions and being more mindful of the language that they were using in them, incorporating the good stuff like that ED&I statements, that equality, diversity and inclusion statement, there's been such a shift of applicants, so much so that one position that they had previously that no applicants had applied for, they were then inundated off the back of it. And it just shows that in such a short space of time, you can see that type of improvement to the way that they're working. So that's a big one that sticks out for me, would be the work that we completed with Sunderland Software City. And then we'll go on, obviously, to work with those folks, which is quite exciting this year as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant, because I think it shows as well that although sometimes the doing diversity and inclusion work and interventions and strategies can sometimes seem quite overwhelming, but actually just changing a few things and just tweaking it how you do a few things can actually have a really huge impact quite quickly as well. I know it was quite similar for the Aerospace Technology Institute, so we abbreviate that to ATI. So they're based in London. And again, they wanted to bring that level of education and awareness across the business. So we worked with their senior leadership team, and then also did some training delivery with their wider colleagues as well. And again, they wanted to review some of their internal practices and processes and policies. So the feedback that we've had so far from after the training has been brilliant, because they've got quite a number of active volunteers who have now formed a D&I group, and they are driving things internally, and they've had so much positivity around it, which is really encouraging, because they were very transparent with us at first and had said that they weren't sure how it would be taken up. But it's brilliant to see that, you know, they've got such an appetite within the organisation now. And what I also think is fab is they've taken it upon themselves to carry out surveys with other companies within their industry to get relevant inspiration and see what other companies are doing, which can then in turn help shape their own policies and strategies. So having that lovely collaborative approach as a sector and sharing best practice is brilliant to see. And I think also they've done quite a lot in terms of reviewing their job descriptions. They're really starting that process. They're going to be reviving their core values as a company and really aligning that to an authentic ED&I statement as well. So there's a lot more work that they're excited to do, and we look forward to working with them on it in 2022 as well.
So I think that leads in nicely to, with those two examples of companies that we've interacted with, it's some of the patterns that we've noticed from the delivery of 2021 across the board, really, would be particularly with recruitment and retention in organisations, and that's where a lot of people are focusing their efforts, I suppose. We know that recruitment is a massive challenge for, I would argue, every company that we speak with. It's left many recruitment and talent teams really struggling in terms of how do they access that talent, how do they diversify their pipeline, and how do they get more candidates and more job vacancies and roles in front of the right people. And it's always been a challenge to recruit diverse candidates before, but I think now more than ever, we really need to just dial that up slightly and really focus hard. Now, with that in mind, Lyndsey and I this year are going to be launching, as of February, a series of webinars specifically looking at each stage of that traditional 360 recruitment process. So as I said, they'll start in February. I think the first one is due to go out on the 2nd, if I am not mistaken, the 2nd of Feb, and then they'll be weekly on a Wednesday, all the way through to the end of March. So stay tuned for details of that. They'll be totally free to access, but we can just share some of our best practice, our top tips, and also pull in examples of the companies that we've been working with and what they've been doing and the impact that they've seen. So hopefully that will be a benefit to people.
Yeah, like Lynn says, you know, recruitment is always a massive part, especially working with the senior leaders of any organisation or hiring managers. And we've done a lot of work quite specifically with Chronify and LSL Property with their recruitment teams and their senior leaders around that. And we usually line it up as part of our package, but using examples from lots of different companies like this who everyone's challenged with it, but I think at the moment, after the pandemic, with all of these labour shortages, any opportunity to diversify your recruitment, snap it with both hands, because this webinar series will be something, there's something for everybody, doesn't matter what size company you are, doesn't matter what size sector. We'll hope to see you there. And on that note as well, because we do a lot of work with senior leadership teams and managers, what we have noticed is that there's an increasing appetite for either managers coming through the ranks into senior leadership roles, or managers who are already in those leadership roles, who really just want to feel like more confident leaders in diversity and inclusion. They're obviously huge influencers of this within any organisation. And shockingly, 60% of managers do their own homework on this area and bring it into the organisation. Now, highly commend anyone who does this in their own time and brings it in. But I think as an organisation, it should be a strategy, an approach and training that is delivered to all of your staff, to get that cohesive approach and cohesive mindset. So with that in mind, again, me and Lyndsey have been thinking of ways that we can help you, how to tackle this. And we are looking at putting together a programme dedicated to inclusive leadership. So for any potential leaders in your organisation or people in leadership roles, and we're putting together a whole package that will hopefully start from September, and we will be looking at gearing up for recruitment opening after Easter time. So we'll keep you posted on all of those launches as well.
So I think the last thing to really summarise on now is the fact that our team has expanded. We are super excited to have Rob join us as of this year. He started earlier in the week and he's already been fab. Rob will be taking the lead with our social media, our content, our marketing. He already has some really cool ideas that we're looking to explore. So no doubt you'll probably meet him virtually at some point in the near future. I've no doubt he'll introduce himself. You'll see us appearing in hopefully lots of different formats, whatever creative things that Rob can do. Anything that looks out of the norm for us will probably be because of Rob. So that's really exciting as a team to be growing and going from strength to strength. I think the last thing from my side is just thanks so much for all the companies that worked with us last year. Thanks even more to the companies that seen the impact and want to continue working with us this year. And then there's some really cool, exciting projects with clients that we have that are about to kick off, which means we have more in-person delivery. We're off to London at the end of the month to start work with Flexitone, which will be great. So we're excited and really encouraged by the year ahead. With that in mind, Lyndsey and I are always around, whether that's on a Zoom call, whether that's a coffee in town. I'll link below whatever, hyperlink over something if we can figure out the tech to do it here. A link to our diary. So book in with us, pick our brains, soundboard ideas, and just don't hesitate to reach out if you've got any questions at all or we can help.
Absolutely, echo all of that. And again, thanks to all of the people who support us and refer us and recommend us and are just generally cheering us on in the background, as well as our lovely clients. So look forward to meeting with you all soon. Have a great year, everyone.
Thanks, folks.